Hey guys, welcome to nope. Welcome to Sippin' and Spillin' with Sid from 3 Mississippi. I'll get it straight, I promise. Uh, Happy Monday to you guys. It's Sunday afternoon here, a rainy Sunday afternoon for us. It's a little chilly. It was, it's the temperatures dropped a little bit, for sure. And I'm out here on the front porch. I was going to show you guys kind of what all we did yesterday, but it's still raining pretty good right now. So I think you're gonna have to wait till this week's video on 3 Mississippi to see what all we actually worked on yesterday and got done. I might be able to show you a little bit of what I did, but it's it was a busy day yesterday. Got quite a few things done. Mike and Frankie, I'll tell you about some of it anyway. We You guys know that we have the chicken coop out there, and we have the electric Premier One fencing around their run, and we like to move their run periodically so that they're not sitting on the same like area of land all the time. And it was time to move it again after this big freeze, and then we had rain after that, and we had a couple of sunny days where it had dried out enough, but the ground wasn't so hard that we could still, move the stakes and re-drive it. So, but some of the area right outside the door was had gotten kind of muddy and sort of sloped down a little bit where their water had been and where it had really froze real bad when we got a lot of ice. So Frankie went in there with the tractor and actually graded it, added more dirt, and flattened it out. So that's going to make a big difference over there. And then they moved all of the fencing so that they have a new area. And then I actually was out here for a few hours working on my front porch garden bed, if you will. Um, in the fall, we have so many oak trees around here that a lot of the way the wind blows, a lot of the oak trees sort of end up kind of blown up here towards the porch. And so, hi, baby. So I'll kind of blow them out with the leaf blower, but a lot of them kind of end up sort of stuck in the little garden bed that I have where my hostas are. And that's, of course, a big one that draws in the hummingbirds in the spring and summer. And so I noticed that at the very end, I have these, I don't know what they are exactly. They're kind of like a spider leg. I call them the spider plants, but they kind of pop up like this, and they get quite large throughout the season. They were starting to pop up now that we came out of that freeze. A lot of stuff is starting to pop up, like our little daffodils are starting to pop up. My little tulip buds on the other side over by my hollyhocks are starting to pop up. And so anyway, but I had noticed it coming up, and we had kind of a warm fall, and then we sort of went right, like a lot of stuff lived longer than it normally does in my little garden bed area, or longer than it did, I guess. I don't have a lot to compare it to, longer than it did last year. And so what I ended up doing was kind of waiting until yesterday to go in and clip a lot of the dead stuff out and rake the leaves out, because I had to wait till some of those plants were like fully dead to take the dead stuff off, to allow for the new growth. So that's what I did yesterday. And I took, I don't know how many wheelbarrows full of weeds and dead cuttings and whatever over to the burn pile, because there was a lot of weeds mixed in there. So I did just go ahead and since we had a burn pile going, I went ahead and just added it to that because there was just a ton. It's not worth composting weeds and stuff. Sometimes there's plenty of that to go around. So better just kind of burn some of that stuff and get it out. So got a lot of that cleaned up, and can see that, the things that are starting to pop back in. There's a lot of ivy that had kind of taken over towards the end of the spring, or I'm sorry, the end of the summer this last year. And I cut a lot of those out, took them out by the root, and some I just trimmed way back because they were already starting to come back. So we'll see. I kind of keep an eye on them, but it's there. I might throw a few new plants in there this year. We'll see. Getting some of those pups coming out for the hospice, so I might take some of those separate ones. There's a couple of holes where I had noticed this last year. I'm like, I could fit one more hosta over here, and the one that's really, really big that's I know is going to have a lot of little pups on it, I could pull one maybe and separate that. So I might do that. But for now, just make yourself comfortable. Yeah, just make yourself at home, bud. Yeah, this is what he does. This is his love language. Purring like a little lunatic right now and nibbling on my ear. Goofball. But anyway, he's such a love. I don't know what I would do without Mr. Bunk. He's my bud. But anyway, and he helped, of course, yesterday while I cleaned all of that out. He sat right here on this couch and, ow, that's my ear, don't bite it. And he, that's my ear, buddy. and watched me do all of that. So he's, he likes to oversee what's going on. But we got a lot done yesterday. That was good. And they also, there was one little strip of barbed wire on this side of Beulah's pasture that when they were moving some of the fence line, they found some slick wire that was up against another T-post that we didn't need. So they pulled that off of those T-posts that were sitting there. And we went ahead and pulled that off and added it over here. So that last little bit of barbed wire that people were absolutely losing their minds over is gone, which is funny because if you drive around out here, most horses are kept in large pastures. We're talking several acres with barbed wire. It's just very common out here. I know that barbed wire is not ideal for many livestock and, people say for horses. I get it. But I think specifically that also has to do more with if they're in a much smaller space, when you're really having to worry about them getting spooked up against the fence lines and not having anywhere to go. When they have all of this space to go in and nothing blocking them up against the fence line, anyway. But it is what it is. Agree to disagree on that one. But anyway, we went ahead and replaced it since we had it, and it took, 15 minutes to do. So that's taken care of. But it's good to see we're finally getting some rain. I know I'm gonna be, in a month, I'm gonna be like, because this is kind of like our, some of us around here they call it like the monsoon season. We get a lot of rain this time of year, and this is when the mud is really mudding. This is when I'm backing out the truck out of the driveway here, I got to be careful when I turn around because sometimes I'll have to put it in 4-wheel because there's a little spot here that kind of gets, it's a little too flat right here, and there's one side that has a dip, so it kind of makes this illusion, and makes this like oasis. That's what I was trying to say. Makes like a little oasis, and you can get stuck in it real easy if you're not careful. So not in the truck, but if you're driving like the little gray car, you could you could definitely get stuck in it. So you gotta be careful. But that thing's so small that it's real easy to turn it around and really stay on the gravel. Whereas with the truck, if you're turning it around, you have to go off the gravel. So But yeah, I was happy with the amount we got done yesterday. I feel like that was some good progress, and some things that I had been kind of looking at, going, oh, that needs done, but when am I going to have the time to do it? Because seemed like there was always something else that took precedence. And then yesterday it was sort of just one of those days where we were like, well, it's nice out today. Let's just work on some things outside and get this done and that done. And some of the things we thought we were going to get done didn't get done, just because some of the things we did ended up taking longer than we thought. But it is what it is. There's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so many things you can do. And I don't know. There was some things we were going to try to do today, but it is raining pretty solidly all day today, and it's off and on, kind of a little bouts of harder rain, um, but nothing too crazy. I know they're getting pounded again in Southern California, where we are, well, where I'm from originally, but where we moved from. And you know, it's one of those things where I know it's much worse on the news than it is in reality, because I know the areas of town that tend to flood, and those that live in those areas know that it's going to flood, and those that live in the county or the city know that they don't go to those areas when it rains because it's going to flood. So it's just one of those things where, I know my peeps are good. They know where to go and where to avoid. So I'm not too worried about my friends and family that are still in Southern California, because they know the drill. They know how the whole, you know, atmospheric river thing goes. Every few years we get one of those, and it's pretty hefty rain, but hopefully it won't be as bad as they're predicting overall, and everybody will make it through okay. We'll see. Hopefully that's the case, but I do think we needed this rain here. We had not had as much rain this winter as I feel like as we did last year, and so it's good get a little bit of rain here and there, and get a little bit more rain this week, I think. And I like this nice, steady, easy rain. I much prefer that to the buckets of rain randomly. Like shortly after we moved here, we had a really bad summer storm, and I remember I was picking Frankie up in town. We had gone somewhere in town, just the two of us, maybe run to the store or something, and there was a storm rolling in, and we didn't, it wasn't like a tornado warning or anything, so we just thought, oh, it's gonna rain, like, big deal. But people in town were like, yeah, we're fixing to get home before the storm hits, and we're like, okay, like, that's weird, but it just says it's gonna rain. Well, they could tell just from living here for so long that, like, the kind of clouds that were rolling in and the way that the air felt, and just when you live somewhere a while, you get to know these things. It was one of those storms that was just, we were driving in it and we literally almost had to just stop on the road, because it was as if somebody was standing on the roof of our car taking buckets of water and dumping it on the windshield. I mean, the windshield wipers just couldn't keep up. You couldn't see an inch in front of you. It was just that bad. I mean, we drove home at a snail's pace. And it was bad. And we were like, ooh, that's why everybody wanted to get home. Like, that's what they were talking about when they were like, it's fixing a storm. Like, this is going to be, So now we know. Like, and honestly, I haven't hit one of those, I think, one other time since then, but that was kind of an anomaly. But I thought, oh, this is how it is when it rains here, but it's not always that bad. And generally, I try to time it now that I know. I try not to drive in the rain too much when it's a storm. If it's just raining like this, I don't care. I'll drive in this. But when it's like thunderstorms, heavy rains, I try to like avoid driving if I can, just to be safe, even in the truck with the good tires and the good windshield wipers and the good headlights and all that stuff. I still prefer to just be, this is like snuggle at home weather now. We're not going to work outside today like we did yesterday with this weather, and it's kind of chilly, and it's just kind of one of those things where I think we're just going to kind of hunker down a little bit today for the rest of the day, now that we're home from church and everything, and just kind of chill out. So I hope you're enjoying the cozy weather. It's just one of those signs that we're going to have spring flowers soon. We're going to have, February and March and those April showers. They all help to bring those Mayflowers, right? So get those grasses nice and green that we love out here. Get those fields nice and green. So I'll take a little bit of rain now, 100%. So hope you guys are having a blessed week. And as always, safety's off.